Hey, good morning, everybody. It is October 20th, Monday, and bright and early in the morning. Sun's not out yet. Stopped by to grab a bagel and a coffee. And I want to talk about two different things. And there was an AP article that came out about um, this weekend, and it was talking about how China is starting to use the same tactics that the United States has been using for well over a decade. With their restrictions on the rare earth minerals, that just is the same as what we've done with a lot of high tech products that created and designed here in the United States. We tell people who they can sell to and who they can't. So basically, what's happened now is we're upset that China is starting to use the same playbook that we've used for, again, over a decade. Now, I'm not a fan of China. I think they do business wrong. I think they have politics that are wrong, but I also think that in some ways we are moving closer to China when it comes to our politics, towards a attempt at a single party authoritarian government. But that's just my opinion. But in the article, it talks about how, again, a lot of the stuff in which we have been doing for years is now what we're mad because China is doing it. I think that we're very insular here in the United States. We don't see what's going on in the rest of the world. It's like these tariffs. Everybody did predict doom and gloom, even I did. But I also mentioned the fact that it really depended upon how countries responded. And most countries seem to be responding as if we don't even matter anymore, uh, which is scary. It's worse than a war because if countries realize that they can live without us, then they live without us, and we're the ones who have benefited greatly over the past 50 years or 70 years, even since World War II, because of the structure that we created that favored us. And Donald Trump doesn't seem to recognize that the system that was created actually benefits us. Yes, we have some trade deficits, but we have way more money than these other countries. So we can have a trade deficit because we're the ones spending the money. They don't have the money to spend. So what's happened is we've kind of created a fortress wall around the United States. Everybody else, they're just going along like normal. Trade between the countries are going on like normal. It's only the trade with the United States. For the American soybean farmer back in 2018, when Trump did this, China started moving their resources there. And now he's back. He starts to create another trade war, and China just says, we've had enough. And they can afford to get it from Brazil. And then, of course, got some from Argentina after we decided to help bail Argentina out. 20 billion credit, currency swap, and then another 20 billion that we're going to come up with. And as I said the other day, that's not even close to enough because, I did my first report on Argentina in economics in one of my economics classes back in 1990 in college, in which I broke down the history and the economics. And it's not gotten any better. It really hasn't. Again, they've defaulted on every loan in the last 100 years. They've gotten billions and billions of dollars from the IMF, from China. They've got investments from China, and they still can't pull their head out of it. And then we're going to give them 20 or 40 billion, and magically somehow they're going to pull their head out of it? No, of course not. So they sold off soybeans to China, which cost our American soybean farmers even more money because China's just not going to buy from the United States anymore unless it has to. And it's not just going to be the soybean farmers, it's going to be a lot of other industries as well. And that's really where the rare earth mineral restrictions are coming in at. They're basically saying that, the United States could hurt them a bit, but they'll get through it, and the United States won't come out unscathed. Uh, we would normally in that situation rely on friends, but since Donald Trump kind of put tariffs on everybody, friend and foe alike, our friends are kind of few these days. And a lot of the people who voted for Trump because he was going to make America great again, well, now we're in a situation where he's going to make us go out on our own again. And that's the reality. We're going to be on our own. Like I said, his tariffs have kind of created a wall around the United States. So the article from AP discusses the fact that China is now actually just doing what we've been doing for decades to many of the other countries. Okay, now the other two items that I want to discuss this morning. You know, we blew up another boat that he says is a drug boat. We don't know if they are or aren't. You know, the argument could be that they are. They may even be. But we used to, stop them, board them, arrest them, you know, but now we just blow them up. And in one of them, two people survived. And people are wondering, well, why did we take these two survivors and send them back to their home country of Colombia and Ecuador? Well, it's because they don't want these people being brought into the United States, because if they were in the United States, then they'd have legal rights and would have to send it through court. And then the Trump administration would have to bring forth their evidence as to why they actually attacked these boats. And I'm betting they really don't have any evidence. It's just they want to do it. Uh, they think they're drug boats, so that's good enough for them. Uh, Evidence be damned. And I think people need to understand that is part of the issue that we are facing these days is we're responding and doing things, evidence be damned. Um, I've seen a lot of people say that the Democrats did a lot of things under Joe Biden, but their only evidence is Donald Trump's word. Evidence be damned. They don't actually have real evidence. And that is a sad state for the United States to be in when evidence doesn't really even come into play anymore. And we're killing people because we can. Because Venezuela can't do anything about it, Colombia can't do anything about it, Ecuador can't do anything about it. That kind of makes us a bully when we break international laws that we wrote and we do what we want. And there's no Congress that can stop that from happening, even though it would be Congress's job, because the people who are in Congress don't actually care enough to do their job. They'd rather sit at home and collect their pay, because that's what they're doing during this government shutdown. The House of Representatives are all been sent home because there's no negotiation to have. Democrats must sign the agreement that the Republicans are forcing on the country. And the Democrats said no. So now the government shut down going into the third week. It's going to stay shut down because, the Republicans chose during the big, beautiful bill to go it alone. When they rescinded Democratic priorities from the previous year's bill on a party line vote, they were making the decision that they were going to go it alone for the rest of their time. You can't make an agreement with somebody and then go back on it and then expect them to continue to believe that they can make more agreements with you. No, we all know better than that. If a person's made an agreement with you and he goes back on it and then comes back to you and says, hey, could you make another agreement with me? You're going to say, what would be the point? And that's what's happened right now with our government. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. The idea that it is because of illegal aliens getting emergency medical care, which was only a couple $1 billion a year, and that law was signed into authorization by Ronald Reagan. Uh, it's just, again, it's the Republicans wanting to tell their constituents something so their constituents can believe, even though there's more to it. Okay, so then the last thing I want to really kind of get into, I apologize, I got off topic there. So Donald Trump on the plane says, hey, we're going to buy beef from Argentina. Beef's been probably the one bright spot for farmers over the last few years. I know for consumers, it's unfortunate it's gone up as much as it has. But he said this, and first off, you don't want the Argentinian beef, but you maybe don't know that beef is beef to some people. So what's going to happen here is he's going to now take the one bright spot in the farming community, which is beef sales, he's now going to undercut that and damage those farmers as well. He's already damaged the soybean farmers from his first administration and then into his second administration, and now he's going to damage the beef sales, because the amount of the amount of beef he would have to purchase from Argentina to change the pricing of American beef would be one heck of a lot. So either it's going to be solely, promotional and not actually do anything. That's Donald Trump in a nutshell for the most part. Or he's going to have to step it up and buy a lot, and that's going to hurt the American beef industry. Uh, One way or the other, the idea is just plain foolishness. We need to invest in the American beef industry and maybe have holdbacks at a higher rate so we don't continue to lower our herds. But buying beef from Argentina, he said it on the plane. He probably doesn't even have half a clue as to what he's even thinking about doing because he's probably heard it from somebody and they didn't explain anything to him and he just had to say it because he wants to try and make people think he's doing something when everything he's done so far has not done any good. Sorry, he's damaged a lot of industry. He's damaged the international trade. He is arresting immigrants that actually have visas here in the United States. They are here whether he likes it or not legally. But he's telling you all they're all illegal immigrants or they're all gang members. So he doesn't have to actually show proof or explain. He can just say gang member, and people on his side go, you see, they were all bad guys, you know, and they don't bother to care about the fact that a lot of them are here actually on visas, and the visas that are being canceled by Trump. All right, well, that's enough doom and gloom. I'm sorry, but that is, we can do better. That's the thing. We can come together and we can do better. But that means we've got to stop being divided. And the divider in chief, yeah, the president of the United States, the guy who causes the most division, he's the real issue. And the American people, we can make agreements and come together. But we've got to be willing to, and we've got to want to. And I'm not so sure we want to anymore. We've always been a divided country. It was kind of our division that actually united us for a very long time. But eventually, when division becomes profitable, the division is all you end up with. All right. Well, again, it is starting to get daylight out, and I want to wish you all a good Monday. Hopefully, everything is going well for you. Thank you very much.